Now, say my name.
Morphling. You're good, damn it.
Welcome to a long replay analysis of Morphling, featuring Dyrachyo in a match against PSG.LGD at the recently played Bali Major. If you like this type of content, I'd love for you to give the video a thumbs up and a follow on my channel. I've been working hard at pushing weekly content, and your continued interest is what keeps me going. So here we have Dyrachyo, playing Morphling, of course, and this is a game from the Bali Major with Gaimin Gladiators versus PSG.LGD. And we will have, of course, our dear Waterboy as position 1. Dyrachyo right now being quite a popular player because he's been doing really well. And it's also kind of why we are looking over him in particular. Last one I did of these was of RTZ, which is actually kind of a poignant point, because what we're going to see in this game that stands out a lot is that he's actually going to play kind of similar to how RTZ plays Medusa, but we'll get into that as we go along in the match. So here in the start, the 5 players on Gaimin Gladiators are just seizing up any opportunity, and nothing is really going to happen. And the biggest meat of the game in this one is that we're going to see some really interesting stuff from Dyrachyo. We're going to see some nifty Morphling things. So if you've played Morphling, if you play Morphling, if you watched Morphling, he is really popular right now. He is actually the most contested, or at least one of the most contested heroes right now. He's certainly he's a carry that makes the most waves right now because he is really good. So it really just kind of shows. And because he's as good as he is, it's important to really respect the hero. We're going to have a bit of a body block here. And we're going to have a normal lane. And it is basically going to be Celery on Spirit Breaker together with Dyrachyo and Morphling. And I'm pointing that out, that Celery is Spirit Breaker, which is important because one of the things that actually makes Morphling really good this patch is that because he's a ranged hero, you now have the benefit of having a ranged on lane. A lot of people will know the struggles of playing Dota and the struggles of potentially playing a double melee lane. It's not impossible, but it certainly doesn't always end up being fun. So when you have a carry that's ranged, which Morphling is, you can be a bit more greedy with your 5 pick. And 5 Spirit Breaker is good, but it is still a melee. But, you know, ranged morph, it helps out a lot. See here. And it's going to be a somewhat standard lane here. And the most interesting aspect I've written, because again, I've seen this before we're commentating on it, is that Dyrachyo here is going to have a really hard lane. Because how do you really beat Morph, right? Like, we beat Morph by basically trying to be as oppressive as we can. And Skywrath and Beastmaster are going to do just that. But the problem is that it's kind of hard to kill Morph unless you do it in one go. It's one of the reasons why he's so good right now. You can see how much damage is coming in. It's just, he can get away with everything. And we'll address it because we'll get to it. Like this is a perfect... This is probably one of the most best games for showcasing Morph for the first 10 minutes, especially on a high level player like Dyrachyo. You see here, Skywrath being very aggressive. Now he doesn't have that much regen, but this is also exactly why he has a magic stick. It's just a common Morph thing because he gets as much value, which we will see in a few minutes as well. He's going to have a bit of a hard time last hitting, as you can see, because his damage is so low, because he's basically morphing a lot of strength because they are playing so aggressive. Which is really annoying. He has to basically keep... Now he's down to 40. It makes it impossible for him to last hit correctly. Which is really annoying. So he's trying to get a little bit more damage. But you can see how that still makes it hard. And he even gets one with his slap. I see. And there's the morph trick. So for the uninitiated, and I should point out, I don't really play morph myself. He's very much a specialist hero. So when I say he's the best carry right now and arguably the most broken hero, it is under the prerequisite that you are also extremely good at Morph. Morph is not just an auto-win hero right now, but if you know how to play Morph, holy hell in a handbasket, you might be enjoying this patch quite a lot. So we're going to see him morph all the way to agility, backpack at his things, and here we go, all the way down to 208 and stick up, and there you go. And that's the Morph trick. Now he's pretty much back to almost full health as far as Morph is concerned. And it's this constant abuse of this mechanic that makes Morph what he is right now in the laning stage. If Morph couldn't do this, he would not function as a hero, straight up. He would not work. He basically just gets to heal for free. And we're going to see the repeated pattern of Adaptive Strike being used a lot by Dyrachyo as a method of basically applying pressure when he can't do it in right clicks. Also, again, remember that he does have a Spur Breaker 5, so if this is something like, you know, if he has the Skywrath, he has a Crystal Maiden, at least then he has a support that can siege a lot better against them and apply damage. Not as easy for Celery in this game. Lane goes on. But yeah, we're gonna see some really, really cute stuff from... And here it is, we really see him spamming it now. And he would do this regardless, but it is also worth mentioning that they don't have a stick, so there's kind of no benefit. There's like no downside, I should say. No, there's only benefit, because Adaptive Strike only costs 40 here. It costs 10 more per level, but only 40 for him to harass them, so he can consistently do it without really it hurting his mana, because he doesn't need like mana to really morph too much. It's not too bad. You see. Well, slow lane, and we're gonna see here in a moment, he's gonna up the aggression a bit. But yeah, the most interesting aspect of this lane that I wanted to showcase in particular is how, what happens is that Celery is gonna basically leave, and you will see how Dyrachyo basically handles this, because this is gonna look like an easy game as we enter mid game, because let me be honest, Dyrachyo's team is doing really, really well in this, and it gives him a good lane, a good game to play from. But what's interesting is how this morph transitions into basically solo laning really, really potently. That's hard to do as a safe laner in general, but Morph can do it. And here we go again. As you can see the trick. And it's so vile too, because like Morphling gets so much regen. Like in a normal lane, if you're like say an anti-mage or something, you're gasping at this point, like because you're taking so much damage from these two heroes. Remember that Beastmasters nowadays, they max wild axes and then they just toss them willy-nilly at you. So that really, really freaking hurts. Let's see, consistently. He does get stick charges for it. And you can see Celery is trying his best here to like help out. But it's hard, and he is going to get blood grenaded here. Blop. And that's close to death, but not quite. And here we see, look at the damage that Dyrachyo is doing here on Morph. He is not beyond playing very aggressive, despite the fact that he is solo, despite the fact that they're as aggressive as they are. He's very, very good at applying pressure, and this is not just like a Morphling thing. This is a good carry player thing that Dyrachyo is doing. When you're not last hitting, and if you can trade favorably and get good damage in on the opponent, you should do it. A lot of the better players in this patch are starting to catch on to this greatly, that it's not really all about last hitting. It's about making sure you can win the lane, and Morphling in particular can really abuse this high damage of his, and if the tables turn on him, he can then shift into strength. It's why he is so annoying and so good on lane. So Beastmaster is actually sort of a little bit afraid of him. And see, he is ready for it. And the beautiful part here is that he's solo. A lot of other characters in this position would have a really freaking hard time, because it's 2 versus 1 and it's 2 very, very scary heroes on top of it. But Morph being Morph, he can just tank it. And he will, if it calls for it, just do the Morph trick again, and then he'll be back to about 68% HP, depending on how many stick charges he has. And see, he's completely comfortable here, and we're gonna see, as you can see, now that there's no immediate creeps he can last hit in safety here, starts morphing, backpacks, all the way down, and there you go, back to 50-60% HP. And just like that, all their aggression. And you can see he's hitting back. It's wonderful. It really shows how good Morphling is at the whole laning aspect. And Celery is coming back to help him. You see here. Because a lot of carries, when they are put in this position, they will be afraid of laning, because it's like, oh, it hurts. It's like, yeah, it does. Their lineup is based on trying to kill you, or like putting you in a state where you're afraid of last hitting and then you'll die. Morphling being the exception to that rule, because Morphling is Morphling. So interesting thing we're going to see here is that now Celery is going to be like, alright fam, high five, I'm going to go do other stuff. This happens in pubs too. Remember, this is a pro game. This is a match from the Bali Major. against PSG.LGD. But this also happens in pubs. But what's going to happen is that Celery is going to now play more around Huskar, which is Quinn Callahan. And that is very important to mention because it'll be very easy to look at this replay. Like I did a replay on Medusa and it looked like Arteezy wasn't doing a lot. He was just getting carried. No. What's happening here is that Dyrachyo is really safe because he's Morph and he knows what he's doing. And that affords Celery the luxury to leave lane at this stage because he's completely fine. He's not going to die. He literally, they cannot kill Morph. It's impossible. And he can last hit safely too. So he's getting solo experience, he can't die, and he's getting gold. So he is freeing up his support to run mid and win mid a lane for him. That's good. And that's the carry doing that. It's not like Celery won him the lane. It's more like Celery can now leave the lane because he's fine here, because he is as tanky as he is. It's also why we see Morphs get the Lifeblood Mask. He's gonna do a little bit here, but again, ultimately there's not anything he can do. Let's see, here we go. Another Morphling trick. And now he's going to leave. You see, he's completely safe. And there we go, he's off. And the thing is, now we are in a position where Morph is going to get solo experience. And it's not like Skywrath is just going to leave, because Beastmaster can't solo against Morph here, he'll be run over. So if he leaves, that's for Beastmaster, and then that's really bad. And if he stays, well, they can't kill Morph, can they? They can't kill Dyrachyo. So now Morph is going to get solo experience while they are dividing 50-50. So they're literally getting half experience. He's getting full. This is why this is so powerful. And it's going to transition into Huskar being like Quinn Callahan is going to be a massive problem. And there you can see he's off. We're not going to focus too much on this, but it is very worth mentioning because this is basically a cause of effect. And it's one of those why this is why Dota isn't just a simple game, right? What Dyrachyo is doing, what Morph is doing, what the hero choice has done in effect around the position 5 Spirit Breaker is that it allows this scenario to happen. If this is a PA, if this is a Spectre, you can't just leave. It will not work. And you can't just like toss Spectre in here. I mean, you could, but it would not be a very bright idea. Luckily, they get to double down on everything here. It's fantastic, and you can see how aggressive he plays. And is he scared? No, because remember, he knows he's solo now. He knows these guys are going to be much lower level than him. So he can just abuse this to his advantage. You see how brazen he's being. He doesn't care. They can't kill him. It's great. Like, he does more damage to Skywrath than Skywrath does to him. So this is hellish. This is the exact worst scenario you can ever have happen as an offlane duo, is that safe lane is completely fine. You see, he doesn't care. And he is queuing up his Morbid Mask. And now he's back. He's gonna get a kill. Now, when I said he would leave, I don't mean like infinitely. He's going to play around a lot of leaving Celery. But it's this aspect that he can leave. There are situations when you played your pubs, for an example, where if you leave your safe lane, the carry will die. But a good Morphling like this, that can square you off just fine. So what's going to happen here is, again, he's okay. Not too much is going to happen. We're going to keep laning like this. He's going to get Morbid Mass, so he's even more unkillable. And then Dyrachyo is going to look around and sees up what's going to happen. And that's important. You can see I'm not the one controlling the camera here. He's going to look around a lot because he is basically making predictions. So when you play carry, yeah, you have to last hit. And a lot of your time is spent doing that. But you also need to prepare. Like, you need to draw up the battle plans of like, what are you going to do next? And here we see Dyrachyo is looking everywhere. Where's his allies fighting? Where are they dying? Are they winning? What's going to happen? And obviously, I don't have the voice feed to these players, but it goes without saying that dude's over here sitting, making plans for what he should be doing. So it's why he's panning his camera around the way he is. But yeah, Beastmaster tossing Axis doesn't really matter because it's not going to really matter. He can't deal with Morphling. And he's completely safe, and he's almost at Morbid Mask. And when Morph gets here, unless you have a method of chain stunning him, and Morph is a bit slow to react, you're not going to get a kill. Let's see here. Wants to help his team. Can't really do it. And we have life still coming in here as well. And there you see the camera panning around, like I said. trying to figure out where are the opponent. So with Skywrath being there, killing Little Man, Little Pugna, he can't be here. So that means it's him and Beastmaster. So he's completely safe. Because what he has to really be afraid of as Morphling, what you have to be afraid of as Morphling in general, is you need to always be at a health threshold where you can survive getting ganked. So you also need to know, as Morphling, what amount of damage could potentially come your way. The thing he will be scared of the most is obviously going to be Beastmaster Roar into Skywrath Ultimate. That is the real killer. And that is accessed very easily if Skywrath silences him, Beastmaster roars, and then they land the entire combo. So as long as Skywrath isn't there, and obviously Skywrath isn't 6 yet either, but as long as those conditions aren't met, Dyrachyo is good to go. He can just farm. So it's exactly what he's gonna do. He's actually gonna spend the majority of time farming, and we're gonna see some good stuff. Like, I watched this replay again. I've watched it in advance, and there's some really interesting stuff where I'm like, I didn't even know that was possible. That's really, really cute. As you hear Beastmaster pulling, Dyrachyo does not like that. Waterman does not approve. He wants to have his lane in his safe position exactly because then he can sit in higher agility and not be as afraid. Also, obviously, he doesn't want Beastmaster to be level 6 because that is when Beastmaster becomes scary. But he's completely safe here. Again, even if enemy team is rotating on him, and again, he knows that they're around here, right? Even if enemy team rotates, he has TP, he has waveform, he has stick, he can morph. He is very, very safe. For anyone that has played against Morphling a lot, you will know by nature, even if you don't really play the hero, just how obscenely tanky this individual is. It's just, oof. So, up here comes a cute play in a moment. We're actually going to speed up a little bit because this is mostly just more laning. There's going to be a lot of times we're going to speed up a bit. And this is a really cute play that you might be like, hey, it's not that special again, Morphling. But no, it is. It's really, really neat seeing stuff like that. Because this is things you can potentially adopt into your game plan. And that's a dead Beastmaster. So what we're going to see here, which is that I'm pointing out because I find it cute, is that Dyrachyo is going to take this creep wave, he's going to pull it in here, so he's farming both the creep wave and the tomato camp at once. So he's getting 2 creep waves. Sorry, he's getting creep wave, he's getting a camp and a creep wave. So he's getting 2 sources of income, both XP and gold. What this does and why this is good is, well, first and foremost, he now doesn't have to tank these, and enemy creeps are helping him, and he's going to get all the last hits. And the extra benefit is that because he's pulling the enemy creep wave, his creep wave is going to go past his tower up here and hit tier 1. Now you could say, well, that doesn't do too much. It does residual damage to the tower, which is annoying to the enemy because, well, they are losing their tier 1. So it soft encourages them to come and deal with that. And that's also exactly what's going to happen, as you can see. See it play out in real time here. He's going to go in for the tomato camp. Again, they're basically just his allies here. He's gonna get... You can see, he even gets tier 1. And there you see. Creeps coming in, like I said, residual. And what happens here? Well, Skywrath doesn't want that, and Skywrath would like some experience. So now he's forcing a TP. And one thing I've talked a lot about in a lot of my content is one of the best things you can do as a carry, which Dyrachyo is really showcasing here, because this is all intentional. This is not just, you know, for no reason, right? Like a pro player does this kind of stuff for a reason. By doing this, he's creating space because he's forcing an important chess piece of the enemy to respond, which is Skywrath. Now, Skywrath is going to be closer to level 6 from doing this, but it also subsequently means he can't be anywhere else on the map doing things. So Dyrachyo, by method of just farming and pulling, is causing the enemy to be a bit more, dare I say, disorganized. He's splitting them up a lot more. It's a small thing, but it really adds up, and this is something you really should consider using in your pups in particular. And he does it here too, you can see. He's going to pull, which is something you don't see a lot either at 9 minutes into the game. He's pulling to now fuck with the Skywrath that just came in. And these creeps hurt, so he's basically just going to make sure that he can now sit here. So he forced a rotation, and now he also sees there's a Beastmaster. He forced a rotation, now he knows there's 2 people down here. He also sees Skywrath, and that's really annoying because they were hoping to farm here for a bit, and now he's just gonna get the wave back here. It's super freaking annoying. So they made that huge rotation just for one creep wave, essentially. And again, they can't easily kill him, so... I see he's trying. So he is really, really doing his best here. So yeah, I know this is going to look like, oh, Gaimin Gladiators, he's basically just getting carried by people here. There is a lot of smaller things that are happening here. It's why I wanted to showcase this replay. It is exactly because Dyrachyo is sitting and doing all this stuff. He is helping his team from a distance in a very, very cool carry way. Because let's be real, a lot of carry players in pubs will literally just go in here and here and here and here and here and then rinse repeat. And oh crap, my tower's at half HP, or well, they have a Beastmaster, it might even be dead. Dyrachyo's sitting here, he's making space and he's farming fast. He's doing a lot by seemingly doing what he should be doing, which is farming. Also, whoops-a-daisy. It's worth pointing out. So, Lotus, and it goes without saying, healing Lotus on Morph is probably, I want to argue, the best hero with it in the game because he gets as much value as he does from it. It's insane. We will be seeing him going for a lot of Lotuses. And here we have a very, very, very unique play, and this is very intentional. Notice how he went for the Lotus, then he immediately went up here, which is funny considering before he actually pulled to keep the creep wave at bay. Suddenly, he does the opposite. Now, why would he do that? It's because Catapult Wave is coming in. And I know I said we would mostly focus on Morphling, which we are, but it's worth, you know, going over and combing over. The reason why he's doing this is also because, well, Catapult, but Quinn Callahan on Huskar is coming in. So they're timing this. So he's timing his Catapult Wave with Quinn clearly coming in from behind as a mid player, as you can see here. And Quinn is going to get a kill on Beastmaster, and while that is happening, Dyrachyo is farming and taking a tower. So this is exactly what I mean by him making the most out of farming in this fashion that he's doing. So between him and Quinn now got a kill on Beastmaster, which led to Dyrachyo being able to get a tier 1 because he was pushing with the Catapult Wave. Okay, go to Quinn, you know, sometimes. DotA replay system has been a bit weird, so it's just how it is. Again, we see another pull. Now here's the sad part, because the reason why he is playing like this, the reason why he's pulling again is he's trying to bait them to come down and kill him. He knows that is what they want to do. So it's too bad that what is about to happen is pretty much the exact scenario I was kind of talking about before. Let's see here. And again, same trick as before. Pulls the creep wave in. Let's see, very, very cute. Gets the Centaur. And then bam, there it is. Silence. Uh-oh, he does not have attribute shift on. Beastmaster Roar. There it is. Skywrath ult. And that's exactly the thing Dyrachyo has been playing around not happening. So that's sad, because he basically was playing nigh perfect with Morphling until then. And if he had somehow sniffed out that they were doing that, he could literally have pressed attribute strength gain and he would have been fine. Absolutely fine. It was well played by them. It was a good smoke. If without silence on Skywrath, that does not happen. So, it just goes to show you can only prepare so much, right? So he's going to respawn here in a moment. And he's going to help with an Ember Kill here. That's another thing regarding carries and people playing them. First thing Dyrachyo does as he respawns, play aggressive, help his team. He could just, you know, port here, start farming. No. Sees Ember, wants to help his team. So he does. And does it work? Yeah, it's Morphling. You can see how much damage he does. So he just gets a solo, well, not solo, but he gets a kill. He gets a killing blow on Ember. And that's huge. So he died to 2 people, which was unfortunate. Meanwhile, Quinn Callahan got Roshan down here. He respawns and then trades into Ember, which is really, really sad considering that Ember is the mid hero. So that's really, really sad. So now they're 8k ahead. Like, they are very, 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 very freaking strong right now. Speed up a bit here. Just gonna play a bit aggressive. And another thing to bite into here is how very much Dyrachyo likes creep waves in particular. A lot of people and players will go into jungle and favor that because it makes them feel safe. I showed this with the RTC replay as well. RTC is very, very, very fond of attacking creep waves. That doesn't mean he's not going to jungle because it's a source of income. It means that by attacking creep waves, you are doing usually residual damage to towers. As you can see, they are going to connect here. They are going to do residual damage to the tower, which demands a response, which is coming in here, as you can see. That's exactly why these pro players do it. And mentioning it because we see Dyrachyo time and time again do it in this game, where he's going to be doing something, and then he's immediately going to go for a creep wave instead, because he likes to create space. Let's see here. It's going to stack this. And here we see exactly what I was talking about. He's going to stack this. He could have stacked this and stayed on this, but he heads mid immediately to get the creep wave. Of course, this is doubly so because there's a tower that's taking free damage, but it also means he's doubling down on farm. So he got entire creep wave like that. He's even gonna block. And again, reason he does that is straight up because he's afraid that they might attempt something. So he likes to be in a situation where he is on the safer side. Once he has Manta, this dynamic changes up quite a bit. Let's see here. And he of course wants his Manta. Gonna speed up a little bit here. So there's going to be a lot of farming now, which is fine. It's a natural part usually of watching a carry game, unless something really, really goes south and the carry just goes crazy. It's a good stack. And you can see the power of Morphling, just how he's able to pretty much take that without any problem. Again, looking around to see what's happening on the map. He wants to help his team here. Let's see if he can help Tofu. He comes in. He does get slept, which is really, really sad, but, you know, spoiler. I don't think Elder Titan's gonna make it out alive. I know the answer to that. I know the answer. I have already seen this. And we're gonna have a waveform, and there you go. So he helps his team. And this is something more on the psychology side of Dota, the mental side of Dota. When you do stuff like this, let's take for instance, like you play a pub. If you do stuff like this, even if it's inefficient, you are proving to your team you're willing to help them, which, you know, boosts morale. There's a reason why, you know, soldiers like music and, like, you know, they get encouraged when, you know, shit's going well, and they get discouraged when shit isn't going well. It's just the human condition, right? So when you're doing something like this, you're showcasing to your team, you know, look at me, I'm your boy, let's go. And you're showcasing to the enemy, oh shit, Morph isn't just going to be some wet noodle that's just sitting in jungle and lasting creeps. He's actually willing to attack and be aggressive. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean as much at this bracket because they know who Dyrachyo plays. They know that he knows how to play. So, you know, I'm just saying doing this in a pub can significantly yield more positive results than you might even think of. It means a lot that you showcase people that you're willing to help them. It really, really does. And he is basically going to get his Manta now. And there it is. And now we're going to see what we see with Manta most of the time. When people acquire Manta on carries, they just start farming by method of split pushing. And we're going to see that here because he is going to Manta here. As you see, safely, yeah. And he ports out. And he wants to help his team. Same play as here. Went from farming, this time in split pushing, to helping Pugna. And now he is porting to, after split pushing, in order to help with Ember. And if they don't get an Ember kill, well, they can still make a push together. They're now together, 3 people. And Ace is scary on Bud, remember. They're 12k ahead. They're not, I mean, they could lose this, but it would be a throw. So we see he goes here. Sees the Lotus, he likes that. He sees Ember here. And they're actually going to chase after him. And Ember isn't having a good game at all. And there you have it. Just pretty much almost half HP. It just showcases again. Morph's damage is just super high. Get more Lotuses. Really, really scary stuff to get that on Morph for free. Not very, very cool. So here we're going to see that he starts farming enemy side. And this is something much like the RTZ video I did a replay analysis of. A lot of higher level carries, when they're in control, when their team is helping them, when they are on the enemy side on the map, you can see every single hero on Gaimin Gladiators, Gaimin Gladiators is on enemy Dire side. Every single one is cross river. And good carry players will basically start farming enemy territory because it's that method of you're getting farm, which is good. You should always be getting farm if you can help it. And you're applying pressure at the same time, which is really, really good. And it also means that when you're quote-unquote AFK farming enemy camps, you're now farming farms so enemy can't be there. So like if PL came here, then he wouldn't be able to get anything. And he would also be in danger, obviously. But it is this pressure. Yes, he's gonna stay. And it also means that if anything happens, he's nearby. We saw how he started a split push up here only to port down here. So that was basically a commitment move, right? If someone comes in here, it's not as much as a commitment. I mean, sure, he's going to have to commit for a kill, but it's not like he's porting to get there because he's already there. So he's in time for a kill, which matters a lot. And we are exactly going to see Ember here, which matters because this is why I mentioned it, partially. Because Dyrachyo is here. He's ready for that Ember kill. And you can see how it's just going to destroy him because he almost kills him with one adaptive strike at this point. Because Morphling. I don't know how many times I've said that, but because Morphling is how I would put it. Seeing it again. Taking enemy camp. And I don't know if this is the term I want to start using for it. I've just started calling it RTZ farming because it's something I've noticed RTZ as a player does a lot. But you're going to see that he is going to farm this, and then he's going to Manta. And it's the exactly same, not to shout out my own videos, but the last episode of Learn from Pros that I do, I covered RTZ. And the number one spot RTZ was farming as Medusa was here. He literally sat here, here, and here the most in the entire game and used Manta. And funny enough, wouldn't you know it? Great minds think alike, right? And why not? He's getting more farm, he's creating pressure, and this is a very safe thing to do because, like, yeah, they get a little bit of gold if they kill Mantas, but whatever. This is really, really annoying. So now he is applying the pressure he's done all game, but without any kind of danger. Sure, well, technically, he doesn't have Manta if they go on him now, right? But you get what I'm saying. More farming. And we're basically going to be speeding up quite a bit here because there's about to be a lot of farming. Let's spawn here. Just more farm. But it's really, really fascinating with Morph, how he's taken off, which is exactly why I wanted to cover him. It's just, he just rears his head all the time, doesn't he? Like, this is just a gift that keeps on giving with Morph. He seemingly has terrible win rates in pubs, unless it's super high level. And the reality is that no matter what they do, Morph just always comes out on top. It's kind of like Nagasire, and just, it doesn't matter. Eventually she'll just come back, which is crazy. So, having filled the air with that, this is probably the number one thing I want to showcase that's really interesting from this replay. This is, I mentioned briefly, like, I didn't even know this was possible. So he's going to port here, because he's going to get a Wisdom Rune. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, hey, that's cute. He's just going to go farm Ancients. Now watch this. This is really, really cute, actually. So he's going to actually take out the Tormentor all on his own. And I saw this, I was like, no, right? That won't work. That can't possibly work. There's no way, right? Lotus, one time. Keeps it going. Starts morphing strength. Lotus. Ooh, it's getting close. Ooh, and there you go. And I would have been terrified if I was him. But yeah, he literally just farmed an entire shard all on his own. Morph can do that. I did not know that. So hey, there you go. Welcome to being in the know, I guess. Morphling, if you are extremely good at him and know how to utilize his HP, can actually take out Tormentor all on his own. Just the first one, of course. Second one, no way, no way. But that's still really cute that he can do that. And that was without Aghanims being finished as well. So obviously, if there's another hero there, it's piss easy for Morph, although the other hero might die. But yeah, very, very neat trick. It actually reminds me of how certain heroes like Huskar, which we are going to see in this game and we have already seen, they take out Roche for free. Huskar can't take out Tormentor for free. He will die, absolutely. But Morph can. Because Morph. So, a lot of farming. We're going to speed through here mostly. Because it's basically going to be more of the same. But we're going to see how he uses Manta quite a bit to create pressure. And he is looking for things. He is calling things out. You can see Celery is going. We're going to get another kill on Ember. It's like whatever, Ember wasn't having a good game anyway. But apart from that, this is basically just a repetition of what we've seen so far. So in about a minute from now, we're going to see him, you know, feel his best when he flexes, right? Because he is going to be very close to I was about to say heart. No. A lifesteal. Which is what he wants. Satanic, there we go. Let's see. I see he is looking around. He's been doing that all game. Just making sure to find out what is his team doing, what's happening, what can he get away with. Because he's still very much on the lookout for Skywrath in particular. You never know. They could totally be going for a smoke play. And it would take me twice as long. This is already going to be a very long replay analysis, as per usual with these. They usually end up being 50 minutes at the very least. You never know. They could be smoking to get him. So he's just having that plan. He already died once to it, even though he played so safely on it. So he sees his team on top, and now he's going to be like, oh yeah, let's go. You can see he's going to help his team. So he's connecting. But it's very easy to... Just pause this game here. It's very easy to look at this game and be like, oh shit, it's just Ace. Oh shit, it's Quinn fucking Callahan again. They're just carrying him. It's like, well, Quinn is playing really well. So is Pudge. Ace is playing really well, but so is Dyrachyo. Dyrachyo is doing a lot. He's created a shitload of space. He's taken a Tormentor solo. He's basically caused a scenario where, because he played around Quinn, they got tier 1 together. Well, retroactively, Quinn gave it to him because of the way they played, which also resulted in Quinn getting this because he created as much space as he did. He's basically just created a crap load of space by method of playing 1. It's really good. And I feel like it's sad if people look at a game like this and say, oh, this was boring, he was just going to carry it. No, he wasn't. He literally carried in a very kind of fundamental way himself. Yeah, it's not super active. He's not running around, you know, and it's not like his team lost their lanes either, but he could have done a lot less than this. And it pretty much showcases how much you can do while still just farming, you know. Oops, disappeared there from the map. Instant buyback. And it goes without saying that this is going to be a push. Why would it not be, right? Suck. We have puck now. Slow down a little bit and see how aggressive they're playing. And again, just, oh my lord, look at that damage just from downtown. Just adaptive strike. So much damage. And here comes the talking point. Why is Morphling so good right now? Well, because it's Morph. But reality aside, Morph is good because he's hard to kill, he hits hard, he's a good laner, he's a very specialized hero, and because Aghanims on him is crazy good because he steals stats from enemy carry. So what ends up happening with Morph is that he pretty much always debuffs the enemy carry, which is bad because that's usually the hero that will do the more damage, and then he becomes a better version. So you now have a hero that debuffs enemy carry and becomes a better version of that carry. So ironically enough, you're having a game now where you're basically having a better PL on Gaimin Gladiators as opposed to LGD, which is sad because they picked PL, but, well, it just so happens Gaimin now has a better PL, don't they? As you can see here, there's now 2 PLs in play. It's looking mad confusing, but there you go, there it is. And that is what really makes Morph so scary. You do not want to give Morph Phantom Rush. He does not need 40 bonus agility. He already hits hard enough, right? Let's see. Just bam, 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 bam. Let's see, they're taking all the structures, getting that Phantom Rush bonus. And he is frontlining too, which is also interesting because Dyrachyo is one of those carry players that is very, very good at being in the front and very good at utilizing the lead he has gotten himself. Him and Quinn playing very similar in that aspect. And they are going to be a bit afraid at this point, also because Elder Titan is back. If there is going to be an enemy comeback chance, it is obviously going to be Elder Titan, and oof, 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 there it is. And that's enough for them to be scared and basically retreat, and now Satanic is done, as you can see. They are going to retreat. An enemy clearly wants to fight on their territory. So no melee barrack, but hey. And guess what? We're going to go back to a bit of speeding through this because we're just going to have more farming. Because they have 26k lead now, and it's easy to look at this game and say it's over, and I would agree, like, yeah, it should be over, but it is throwable, and still, it is a pro game, and it's important to see how do they manifest this lead, how do they keep the game from being thrown, and you'll find out now. They farm, and they farm their lead. But this is one of the few cases where we actually see Dyrachyo not being on enemy side right now. He is not actively farming, although Quinn is. And you can see Ace is now doing it as well. Now, if this had spawned, don't worry, he would not have attended that. Takes that, takes Ancient. So we're just mostly going to speed through, like I said. And here, he is going to be somewhat close to his team. As you can see, he is within range, because he doesn't have BOT on his person. And that's another important aspect of playing carry, is especially at this stage of the game, he could farm safely down here, but if something were to occur, he couldn't physically get to his team in time in order to help them. By farming here, he is farming enemy side, and much like how he was farming here, if something happens, he's there, which is important. Again, proves that he's willing to play with his team, which they know they're playing pro, but assuming this is you in a pub, yeah, you prove to your team, hey, I am here. I hear you. Slow down a bit. It's gonna be a bit here. Very loud. Bong bong. So much happening. I see how much damage Morphling is doing at this point. Going in. Really wants PL, but it's kind of hard. They are gonna get that. So he did get Beastmaster this time, which isn't a bad get, really. But he would prefer to get PL mostly. And he's out again. And guess what? We're gonna speed through a little bit because they remember they're timing their things around mostly BKB really, and Aegis in this game. So more just getting lead now. They are at a 32k lead, as we can see here. These three heroes are all mega farmed. It's pretty much only PL that could be possibly a danger. Of course, well, they're set up from Elder Titan, but it would be Elder Titan combo into PL doing something, and that is what they're looking out for. It's why whenever Elder Titan is there, they're scared. More Lotuses. And in about a few seconds here, that's when it's gonna happen. Farming, 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 and we are going to have a smoke play, which is important, because this is how you get things done. Shameless plug, I just did a video on this about how when you're behind, when you're ahead, smoke usually is what allows you to engage, and then you get stuff done. And if they kill an important target, if they kill any target, well, fighting 4v5 into a team with 32k net lead, that's not very easy, is it? So, looking for PL. And this is when it gets interesting, because you'd think he'd see PL here and be like, fuck that, and run away. No, look at this. He just goes in. And he's got him now too. He transformed. And now the chase is on. And this brings me back to what I said with Dyrachyo isn't a baby. He is very, very willing to move in, play aggressive, and be the frontline tank at this stage of the game, which is fantastic. See, PL is in danger, and this is just a better PL now fighting 3 people, just Jesus Lord. Beastmaster using ult. And here comes the team. And 2 dead. And it's easy to look at that as a player and say, well, he didn't do anything, he didn't kill them. Excuse me, he went in against 3 to 4 people, if not 5 really, tanked numerous spells, created havoc, and then his team came in and made use out of that. He just engaged. These 2 people died because what Dyrachyo did, because he saw PL, because he didn't back down. Also because it is Morphling, he can do that. It is one of the reasons why the hero is so chef's kiss, you know? So good. And they're just making the most out of this. And Beastmaster could buy back, but he's not a fan of it. I see Waterboy being Waterboy. And they are just clinging on here, by the way. It goes without saying. Beautiful Manta dodge there from Dyrachyo. Here's the hook. Okay, okay. Oh, well. See, there's the hook. And it's just slow and steady here. They're basically just going to retreat. But they're going to regroup. They're going to play it safe. They're going to want the Roche. Get a little bit more Lotus. And that spawns right now. And this is a typical we're ahead, further ahead, but also, you know, kind of a way to end the game. They just want to be absolutely sure that there's no way they can throw it. Interesting notion here is that they do see them up here, yeah? And Quinn actually pre-BKBs, which is cute. And they go in. A little bit of miscommunication. That's actually the first time Dyrachyo actually went away instead of waveforming in. Let's see here, that's the Skywrath that. And obviously it goes without saying that they're now going to transition this into getting Megas. Because now they have Aegis and they have cheese as well on Morphling. You want to know what's better than the Lotuses? It's cheese on Morphling. That's not something you want. It's dead. Easy. And that's a buyback, and that's still a Skywrath that's dead for 10 seconds. And they're just gonna go in. See, Morphling here is so confusing because PL Morphling, the better PL. It really is just, at the end of the day, is that meme picture, you know, the one where it's like, you know, Wind Ranger and the cooler Wind Ranger and its Hoodwink? Yeah, exactly. So we have PL and then the better PL, which, you know. You basically just say carry and the cooler carry, and it's always Morphling with a pair of shades being like, yeah. And not scared. Very, very tanky. Has Satanic. Butterfly. Just goes in. Creates a lot of havoc. You thought it was really fucking weird to play around PL. Try and play around a Morphling that's also PL. A lot is going on. Quinn is just getting structures. It's so tanky. Like, there is no way. It's physically impossible for them to kill him. They flies on PL, and that's pretty much it. And their PL's dead. And without PL, there is no chance. Not that there really was much of a chance, but hey, for what it's worth, PSG.LGD tried, even if they were super far behind. So, that is the game. GG has been called, which in Pro is final. And there you pretty much have it. So just like that, we have a match that lasted 36 minutes and 29 seconds, with Dyrachyo ending with quote-unquote only 8-1-5, but a very, very good performance and a very solid performance. In order to play a good carry, you don't just have to play bombastically. Like, that's not the reason you play. You play to win, obviously, but you can play exactly like this and just be fundamentally good and just do a lot. It's not like a lot of their heroes have like a lot of kills per se on their team in general. So it's not like he is getting carried in this either. It is just that he is doing a very, very solid performance. He solo lanes for a large majority of the game. He applies pressure by farming, And then at roughly, say 25 minutes, he really starts frontlining a lot, especially together with Quinn as Huskar. So at the end of the day, what does make Morphling good? Well, when you can use him like Dyrachyo just did, when you can make the most out of his laning experience, when you can make the most out of the fact that he's hard to kill, he's really good at harassing, and he's really good at surviving lanes, which means people can just play around him. They can leave the lane very early usually because it's a Morphling. So the best parts of this hero is that he is a good carry, he's a good laner, you know, he has a stun, he has a lot of damage, he can change attributes on command, and he can completely dominate an enemy carry because he becomes a better version of them. So there really isn't a part where Morphling is a weak hero. The only thing holding Morph back is how kind of mechanically demanding he is as a hero. So that's pretty much it for the read and for the video. And there you go. I can highly recommend you pick up Morphling because he's good. He's a very good hero. But you have your work cut out for you because he's not easy. But if you're willing to put in the time, holy hell, I will admit that Waterman is looking pretty fine this patch. You guys have a good one. Thank you for watching.